Did you know that every year over 500,000 women die in pregnancy and nearly 9 million children die before their 5th birthday? The numbers should shock and grieve us. Far too many lives and futures are being lost. And to the world's shame, so many have been lost for want of relatively simple health solutions, all within the reach of the international community. Often the keys of life are no more sophisticated than clean water, widely available vaccines, or the most basic treatment against infection. That so little has been done is tragic. It is not just about words on a page. It is real hunger, real suffering, real people dying. So what is required to fight this particular problem of human misery? It is merely the same unity of purpose that we can find within ourselves readily enough when disaster strikes, as it recently did in Haiti, or as we can and do when the problem is one of trade, finance, or the economy. We must find that unity of purpose. It is therefore time to mobilize for friends and partners to do something for those who can do little for themselves, to replace grand good intentions with substantive acts of human goodwill.
I wanted to ask you about the issue of abortion that you raised earlier this week. How is this going to play in countries that in fact frown upon abortion because they're heavily Muslim, heavily Catholic, and it's against their culture? You seem to say this was a major part of any policy we should have. Can you talk to that, please?
What I said was to repeat the Canadian policy that's been there for 25 years, which is that we want to promote maternal and child health around the world. Canada has a great record in doing that. The Prime Minister said that he wants to make that a priority at the G8 and the G20. Great, we say fine. But if you're going to do that, you've got to provide the full range of reproductive health services for women and for children, and that includes termination of pregnancy. So let me, hang on, let me ask a question. Sometimes you get a good answer. So what we're saying is provide the full gamut of reproductive health services. We think this has been the Canadian position for 25 years. What's in my mind is during the second Bush administration, there were substantial cuts to American assistance to reproductive health services around the world, and it had a devastating effect, and it had a negative effect on the health of women. So if we want to do the right thing for women, we've got to provide the full range of reproductive health services.
This is not about abortion. This is not even about capital punishment. It's not about gay marriage. It's the same old liberal red herring whenever they're in panic mode. This is about saving lives of mothers and children in the developing world, and I would urge the Liberal Party not to use this.
But they're saying one way to do it is that.
Well, G8 leaders will be having that discussion in June in a serious way, and I would urge the Leader of the Opposition and his party not to play politics on the backs of women and children in the developing world.
All right.
This government's commitment to maternal health ends when it comes to reproductive health. Unbelievably, the minister suggested that birth control has nothing to do with saving lives. Perhaps the minister is ignorant of the fact that according to the United Nations Population Fund, lack of adequate contraceptive services is responsible for 1.5 million deaths in developing countries every year. Why doesn't this government care about saving the lives of these women and these children?
Mr. Speaker, I think we should be clear. This government does care about women and does care about the health of women. We have chosen to focus the world's lenses on saving the lives of mothers and children. And Mr. Speaker, when we know what we can do by providing clean water, vaccinations, better nutrition, as well as the most effective way is the training of healthcare workers and improving access for those women, that's what we are going to do.
Last year, in July of 2009, the G8 summit communique contained words committing the member states to, quote, voluntary family planning, quote, and sexual and reproductive health care, quote. I'd like to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs, how is it possible that Canadian foreign policy has been hijacked by the Tea Partiers on the other side?
As the member opposite knows, the G8 leaders will discuss and chart the way forward to tackle child and maternal health at the upcoming summit. As we've been saying all along, we are not closing the door on any options that will save the lives of mothers and children, including contraception. And as we have been saying all along, we are not opening the abortion debate. Thank you.
But let's deal with the abortion question now. Now that we know that contraceptives and that sort of training and that sort of education will be part of the Canadian initiative, what about abortion? Are we saying that if there are any abortion services provided to women in Africa or any of the developing countries where this initiative may take hold, that we would not participate in that initiative?
Well, I don't think that we're going there. What we're saying fundamentally is in our approach. Our approach will take into consideration the health, the well-being, and when we talk about the health and the well-being of individuals, it will also take in the element of contraception, as Minister Oda mentioned today. And that is the scope of the way we want to present this, the way we will be presenting this.
But what about abortion? I mean, because so many of the family planning
that's
initiatives in Africa include abortion.
But it's not their time. So, you know, you can ask me what about abortion. I'm telling you it's not there.
Not there meaning that it would not be supported by this initiative.
That's correct. That's correct. Now, if other states are involved in that area, well, fine, you know.
We do not want to bring abortion into the debate. We don't want to bring it in. It's divisive and it's going to cause trouble for everybay.
You don't think by excluding it, you're bringing it into the debate?
No, I don't think we are. And actually, we were moving along quite well. 98% of Canadians will support this, whether they're pro-life or pro-choice. They support helping women in other countries.
When Canadians were asked, overall, should Canada include funding for abortion? Look at the split. Yes, 46, no, 48. This is far from a decided issue in Canadian minds.
Abortion is a hot-button issue that hasn't been pushed lately in Ottawa. Well, it got pushed today. The Liberals want abortion and contraception included in the government's initiative to help the world's poorest women. Tonight, the Liberals forced a vote in the House.
Well, Carol, embarrassingly, Liberal ranks did not hold firm tonight, and the government won a vote on abortion. But that may not be such a great victory, given that the Conservatives don't want to be labelled the anti-abortion party and kept saying they don't want to talk about it.
This is a Liberal attempt to reignite and reopen an abortion debate, and we've been clear, we are not prepared to open an abortion debate.
There's anger, embarrassment, and a fair bit of damage control in Liberal Party ranks today after the Liberals lost a vote on a key motion in the Commons last night. And they lost it because they didn't have enough support from their own members. The Liberal motion was defeated by a vote of 144 to 138. Today, the Liberal leader warned MPs will be disciplined for voting against the motion, but he wouldn't say what that discipline will be.
We will be dealing with this as an internal caucus matter. I don't discuss those matters outside. But the key point, people are raising questions about leadership. The key issue here is that this party reaffirms and has pressed with, in my view, considerable courage since January, the absolute fundamental importance for Canada to remain consistent in its support of reproductive health rights for women at home and abroad, and we will continue to do so.
Fascinating story. It seems inside baseball, but it really says a lot about strategy, Rosemary. You're on the Hill there. What has been the fallout of yesterday's surprising defeat of the Liberal motion?
Well, beyond a really big headache, Evan, it resulted in what I'm told was a fairly tense caucus meeting. There have been, though, as well, questions about Micheal Ignatieff's leadership today and whether he's got everything under control given the state of things last night.
Is this a big issue for the Liberals?
It is a big issue. And, you know, off camera, Tom, every Liberal you talk to are shaking their heads in embarrassment. They're angry at the leader's office. They're angry at people in caucus. They're angry the way the whole issue was raised, that they couldn't get their act together and have a united front on this. And, you know, yes, the blame lies with the leader for sure.
I think this is the gang that can't shoot straight except when it's shooting itself in the foot at this point.
They hung the Canadian Alliance, hung Stockwell Day out to dry for less ineptitude than was demonstrated on the floor of the House of Commons by the Liberals this week. And we are talking about a major party operation. This was not a trick that the other parties laid out to trap the Liberals. The Liberals brought this up. Abortion has been a sensitive issue in every party, including the Liberal Party, for decades. The notion that you would go to Parliament Hill and bring a motion to trap your enemies and not look around you to see how your caucus really feels and who's on side and who's not speaks not to the debate about abortion or even party discipline, but about how the party is currently being run, and that goes to Mr. Ignatieff.
This issue is not settled. There are lots of people on different sides of this debate, and it's, I think, weird that we continue to present it as if it was a done deal, over and done with, and there's no debate anymore.
Yeah, but you seem to be presenting it as an issue about who, that the media is casting shadows or not on different members of caucus, when really this was a Liberal ploy to try and do something in that.
Look, I grant you, it was dumb.